For the past 3 years, we have been tracking a rise in violent crime in Chicago, an important issue for all of us. Thousands of victims over the years, but this week, one woman and the horrific crime she suffered through became the focus for Chicago.
We first showed you this video as part of a news story because the robbers were wanted for a dozen other attacks. But then it went to another level when she became the center of a political ad. And we've learned today she was never contacted to be a part of that advertisement.
Let's go right to CBS 2 political investigator Dana Kozlov in the newsroom. Dana, this has been controversial and it's raising concerns from a victim's advocate you talked with today.
Yeah, Eric and Joe, it's concerned several groups that work with survivors of violence and the victim's attorney. I left the victim a note earlier this week asking if she'd be willing to discuss the ad and the attack. She did not, but her attorney called and told me it's made her feel further victimized. The man behind the ad, however, stands by it.
This is a still of the ad showing the attack of a woman in Chicago's North Center neighborhood. It began airing last weekend, and with it came complaints and criticism.
One of the issues that we're focusing on is the Safety Act.
Explains Dan Proft, the man behind the political PAC People Who Play by the Rules that made the ad. It shows the attack in its entirety. The victim screams clear. The victim's attorney, Tom Leinenweber, says the experience and ad have been very hard on his client, the victim, and neither Proft nor his PAC ever contacted her before releasing the ad. Victims' advocates call that and the ad itself abhorrent.
I think it's distressing to see a victim's trauma used as collateral damage in a political ad.
Amanda Pyron heads the network, which fights to end domestic violence and violence against women. She says the use of the video in this ad essentially re-victimizes the victim, especially with no notice or even a courtesy call.
What I'm most concerned about is that this hasn't just re-traumatized the victim in this instance, it's re-traumatized victims across our state.
Do you feel that you should have, though, tried to reach out to and at least contact the victim?
I mean, I have no way of getting a hold of the victim. I'm not looking to interfere with her life or any other life, anybody else's life.
But don't you feel by airing this ad that you have interfered with her life? Because she certainly feels that way.
This is public domain. News stations put it in the public domain.
Says Proft, referring to the video's use, although limited, in a prior CBS 2 news story after police confirmed the suspects are wanted in connection with about a dozen other attacks.
I think the political exploitation of victims is very different from the reporting of news.
But, Pyron says, always worth an ethical discussion. And Proft?
I'm here to talk to you about if you feel that it was the right thing to do ethically to use that video in an ad without getting the victim's permission, considering victims' advocates.
I don't need the permission.
I know you don't need it legally, but ethically, considering victims' advocates also say that the use of that video was abhorrent in this purpose.
Like I said, when everybody's sensibilities are such that they're not going to broadcast acts of violence, then you can come back and talk to me. But until then, nope.
We chose not to air the ad or the video of the attack in its entirety. I should also mention that the victim in this instance does not want to be identified. In the newsroom, Dana Kozlov, CBS 2 News.